Now, I don't know where to start this, but this will be different from a lot of the other videos you've seen on my channel before. A lot of the weird, goofy videos. But today I'm here to talk about what I went through last Tuesday. I'm a little shy talking about this too, because other people in my house probably up hearing it, but today I'm here to talk about what I went through at my school, STEM. During the shooting that went on, it was like any other gold day. You know, I go to school and my first class is manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and then I went to my off period and it started like any other day. Then went to astronomy, and then my next class after that was art in room 135. 147, I was called down to the office, the middle school office, for a CE meeting with Miss Dugan, who's one of the administrators at my school. So I get called down at 147. Next thing I know, I'm there, sat down for about 3-4 minutes, and we have a little chat. She hadn't even started the meeting yet because she had to finish something, and then all of a sudden it happened. I heard some pops, didn't know what it was at the time, but then 2 kids ran into the office yelling, "Shooter, shooter," and I didn't think at all during that, and I had to hide behind a table. It took a while to get over and to process what was going on, probably 5-10 seconds. I didn't know what was going on, and then I was under a table, and then I see 2 kids come in. I knew both of them. You've probably heard their names on the news by now. Jackson Gregory and Jerry Montoya, they came into the room. Jerry with his hand in a banded thing of gauze on the back of his forehead with blood dripping down. Jackson with a bullet hole on his arm, shoulder, and they said that he had also been hit in the back. I didn't see any of it because, I didn't see that point of view during the time. And then I see the teacher of the room in 107, Miss Harper, came in, and she hid in the room, and we stayed there for 5-10 minutes until the cops came and broke the doors down and got us out. They were carrying Jerry on the officer's shoulder out, and we were one of the first people out. There were people outside that were told to hide behind cars. They, of course, had no idea what was going on because they were outside at the time. But before all of that, when they first came into the office went into panic mode. I was in the middle school office, if I hadn't said that earlier. They didn't know how to process it. They went into panic mode, then they started yelling, "Lockdown, lockdown," and that's when they went into zoned middle school lockdown. And there's one person that the news media, who a lot of us haven't liked recently, hasn't talked to, was the person I had the meeting with, was going to have the meeting with, Miss Dugan, because she's the one who called the cops. And sorry if I sound tired, it's 2 a.m. here, so it's been hard sleeping, but I can't speak for the seniors who knew Kendrick, but what I can speak for is myself. I never hung out with him outside of school. Talked to him once outside of school just a couple weeks ago playing a game, but I knew him from Spanish 2 last year. We sat at the same table for about a year. And last semester in Earth and Environmental Science, I sat in the table next to him, and I got to know him from that. And it hurt once I knew that he was gone. Knowing what he did, though, helped me combat that by knowing that he saved everyone. And I want to give credit for Miss Dugan for calling the police, DCSD, letting them know what was going on. If it wasn't for her, we could have been in there another 20 minutes and them not be there in time, and them only being a block away. But another thing that I want to talk about is that if I had been called down to the office just 3 minutes later, I may not be here right now, and that was just sheer luck. And this video has been hard for me to make because people may think, oh, it's just for the publicity. Well, it's not. It's for me to speak my mind out and to tell people, because I can't keep it in anymore. Of course, most of my friends know now, but what I went through was a whole lot different, and only about 50 people experienced things equally the same or even worse. I can't even imagine what the 20 some odd students in Miss Harper's 9th period class were going through, because they saw 6 kids run out in 2 different directions to go stop 2 different people who had troubling minds and things that were going through which put a lot of pain on us. And 70% of me wants to, I don't know what, to be really mad at them, but what I think should be the thing is that I don't know, it was just terrible what they did, and it should have never happened. And if you ever have any sort of issue, you shouldn't inflict that problem on others, because it doesn't help. And it doesn't help here either. All I can take away from this is talk to people and just know that you have it a whole lot better here than anywhere else, really. And those couple of hours that I stood waiting outside, we didn't even know who was gone yet, or who. They'd only said 2 injured for 2 hours, and then they came up with the final report, 1 dead, 7 injured, and then they increased it to 8 injured, and we had no idea who was the one who was gone until my friends told me the night of, and it changed my mind on a lot of things, and it enforced a lot of things as well in my mind and strengthened things. And I personally miss him. I can't speak, though, for the ones who knew him closer. He had a group of 10, 15 brilliant and smart seniors that he'd hang out with, and one of my best friends and was one of his best friends, go camping and things like that. And being at a small school, you know everyone, so in this case it was no different. Everyone knew each other, so it hurt everyone more. And the things going through my mind when it happened was, first, what's going to happen to me? Second, what's going to happen to my brother? And third, what was going to happen if they had entered the elementary school? Because there were 600, 700 elementary schoolers who were still in the building then. And to see their faces on the media afterwards was heartbreaking, terrible, and now, along with what I feel for what happened at our school, I feel sympathy for every other person in the United States or anywhere in the world that has to go through something like this, because a school is designated as a safe space and not a space where you don't know if you're gonna make it out of school the afternoon of. And I think people need to know that. I'm sorry if this video formatting is terrible or whatever, but I just had to speak my mind out of things, and that's what I've done. And I hope that this doesn't happen again, and that we work towards things that, like mental health, and things that just made me feel a whole lot better when I heard that what my fellow STEM friends did at that vigil at HR. I would have to agree with them. It made sense that politics wasn't the answer at that time. And now we know nothing political could have helped this towards gun, because you have to be 21 in Colorado to own a handgun, and those kids were below the age. No law could have stopped it in that regard. But just talking to people could have helped, and making sure that the safety of your school was all right. But this is all that I've got to say at the moment. I'll miss you, Kendrick. And I bet there's 200, 300 other people with the same things that I have to say, so that will miss you, and what those people did was cowardly and was absolutely terrible. And I'd want to stand with the rest of my school and refuse to be a victim, but have to suffer the consequences of what your term victim has to go through. Physically, I'm fine, but mentally, I'm not. Seeing friends getting hurt was not helpful, and I hope you can hear what I have to say.